Oh God. I don't even want to say because then people will watch the film. So we're gonna see ya. Hi Teen Vogue, I'm Madelaine Petsch, and today I'm gonna share with you some of my firsts. What was my first word? My parents used to tell me this all the time. It was something to do with my brother. My first word was something to do with my brother. My brother's name is Sean, and I think I would always say like, where's Sean? That's what I used to say, where's Sean? That's what I used to say. Actually, this is so funny because we were just talking about it. My first CD was Christina Aguilera. I remember that I worked really hard to make, I think it was like $17.99. I worked really hard to make $17.99 for my parents. I gave them like my mom back massages and stuff to make the money. And then I went and bought a Christina Aguilera CD. I remember it so well. I wanted it before this trip, actually, before we went on some like road trip or something for my Walkman. What was her first album? It had Genie in a Bottle in it. It was, wow, and it came out 20 years ago. We were just talking about that. I think it was self-titled. It was Genie in a Bottle is still a bop, guys. It's still a bop. The first vacation I ever went on was probably to go visit my family in South Africa, but I don't remember that. I think I was 8 months old. So the first one that I remember was going to Mazatlan, Mexico with my family, and then we ended up making it like a yearly thing where we'd go to Mexico, some part of Mexico, and I remember I used to love bingo as a kid, randomly. Also used to win all the time, no big deal. The first rap song I ever learned all the lyrics to was Lose Yourself by Eminem. You can't ask me to do it though, because I know that's the next question. Because I already did it for the rap party of season 1 of Riverdale, in front of all of the crew and cast, and I embarrassed the hell out of myself. So we're just not gonna do it again.
And I was gonna ask.
I know you were. Oh. My first social media handle, which by the way, for you youngins back there, I am 25 years old, which is very old, I know. And I had an AIM login, which you might not even know what that is, but it was an AOL Instant Messenger, and it was FroggyFriend184. What? Like, I look back on it now and it's funny because in The Office, Dwight has like a frog thing next to his, I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but he's got like a little frog bumper sticker on his desk. And I'm always like, oh yeah, we get it. Me and Dwight get it. Me and like 6-year-old me and Dwight get it. My first job ever was working for my parents. I don't think I actually really did anything of help or use, but they let me think I did. But my first job when I moved to LA was assisting a headshot photographer and doing all of her retouching, which was a fantastic job, and it taught me a lot about being behind the camera and all the ins and outs. I think the first red carpet I ever attended was the CW upfronts, which is absolutely bizarre, but for the first season of Riverdale. I might have gone to like maybe a Maybelline launch or something before that, but I think the first big carpet I did was the CW upfronts, which is very big for my first carpet. My first best friend was this other redhead in my small town named Elizabeth, and we were literally attached at the hip, and I wonder where she is now, actually. If you're out there, let me know. The first time I ever embarrassed myself. I embarrass myself on the daily. There's no first time. I am like a walking embarrassment half of the time when I open my mouth, so I probably embarrassed myself 6 times today and I don't even realize it. Whatever. I was like 8 years old and I peed my pants in front of my friends. Whatever. Like, we all do it, right? Not anymore, obviously, but like back in the day. I peed my pants when I was 8 years old. I thought the bathroom wasn't working, there was someone there and I had to go, and I let it out at my friend's house. Sorry. My first job in show business, other than being a personal assistant to a photographer, I actually used to do something called brand ambassador work. If you've ever seen somebody on the street handing out free samples or something, I did something like that, but there was a whole online forum for it, and so I ended up working as a production assistant on one day of MasterChef Junior, randomly, which is how I met Gordon Ramsay, and now we're like friends. No big deal. And it was crazy because we did a YouTube video together very recently, like in the last year, and I told him that story, and he's like, that's so cool. I was like, yeah, no big deal. The first time I was recognized in public was crazy because it kind of came out of nowhere. I was at the Grove, which is one of my favorite places in LA, and this group of young girls started screaming Madelaine Petsch, and I was like, this can't be me. Like, there's gotta be another Madelaine Petsch here or something. And then I turn around and there's a horde of like 15 young girls, like Terminator running at me. And it was like, what do I do? I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold my arms out and they can all hug me or something. I was so awkward. I probably was more nervous than they were because I didn't even know what to do, but I think it was cute and I'm sure they know who they are. I was such a weirdo when that happened. What was my first thought when I woke up this morning? I have to take my dog for a walk. That was truly my first thought. Gotta take Olive out. The first app I check or go into is actually an app called Elevate. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a way to kind of stimulate your brain. I don't like to go onto Instagram immediately. I like to do something that's gonna make me wake up more and use my brain. So it has 5 different levels that you do every day. And it's like writing, math, spelling, and it quizzes you on stuff and it kind of gets your brain going. So I do that once a day for about 20 minutes. Not sponsored. Oh man, I don't even know the answer to that. Somebody from my small town who doesn't need a shout out, I'm sure. So we'll pass on that one. If I won $1 billion, the first thing I would do is legitimately go to the ASPCA and donate a large majority of it to that. They're a fantastic organization. My first audition was for a UCLA student film, and I bombed it. I remember I went in and I had to be this like confident, sassy girl, and I walked in and I was like, I got this, I'm confident, I'm sassy. All went out the window when I walked in. Terrified. It was like a bunch of students in college who, like, by the way, weren't mean, they were very kind. But you know, I don't know if you've been to an audition, but when you're there sometimes, they kind of write you off like right when you walk in. And so they weren't really looking at me. They'd already decided I wasn't for the role, and you can feel that energy and it makes you really insecure in the beginning, especially at the beginning of your career. And I was supposed to sit down confidently in the scene, like in a chair halfway through, and I completely missed the chair and I fell on the floor, and I kept just doing the scene sitting on the floor, which now in retrospect I should have just gotten up and started the scene over again, but I just kind of kept to it and stayed committed, and then they said thank you halfway through the scene and I left. Look at me now, UCLA. Aww. My first pet was this really cute black and white cat named Mika, and I don't even know what happened to her. I'm sure she probably died, but my parents didn't tell me. You know, like it was one of those things where I was like, where's Mika? And they're like, oh, she ran off to live with another family. And you're all laughing because you get it. Like, I'm sure your parents told you that too. But honestly, I have no idea what happened to her. I'm sure she's somewhere living a really good life. The first thing I do on a day off, I don't love days off, which is a weird thing to say. I'm very into self-care even on days that I am working. So on days off, I just get like ancillary work done or business stuff, like answer emails and stuff. I don't have an assistant, I do everything myself. So I just get all that done. I'll edit a YouTube video, that's fun for me. Read a script. I love work, so boring. I'm actually wearing it right now. My first big splurge was this rose gold Cartier ring. I now buy myself one at the beginning of every season to like have something that I can remember. I called my mom, I was super nervous to buy it. I was like, this is a big investment, should I get it? And now it's kind of nice to look down and it feels like I've got like things that remind me of where I came from, and it's a little thing that I do for myself every year. I don't buy a lot of stuff, I don't really splurge too often, but it's nice to have those little things that remind me of where I came from and where I am now. I'm 25 years old, that was a long time ago. What do you expect from me? I mean, the first movie that made an impact on me, I'm gonna change the question, was Harry Potter. Talk about all the time. I'm actually wearing Harry Potter socks right now. I'm not gonna show you, but I am. Ron Weasley's on my right ankle and Harry Potter is on my left. Not kidding. My first role model was my mom. I know that's kind of maybe a cop-out answer, or you probably expected somebody else, I don't know, but my mom is just like the most selfless and amazing human being on the planet. I don't think I'd even know where my head was if I didn't have my mom. She just keeps me grounded, and she's just the most phenomenal woman. I could gush for hours. That's still my role model, honestly. The way she loves, she's so unconditional and she's so forgiving, she's just beautiful. Oh my God, I remember this so well. The first makeup I ever bought was it CoverGirl or Maybelline, the Dream Matte Mousse? Do you know what I'm talking about? That stuff in the weird little pot, and I was convinced it was like the best foundation ever. And I would like cake it on my face, and it was probably 3 shades too dark for me, and it was probably a disaster, but I so specifically remember putting that on with a weird brush. I don't think I had any idea what I was doing, but I still think I probably have that somewhere. That's gross. The first book I ever read, my mom used to read to me as a kid, Harry Potter. And so probably was the first book I ever read. Gee, do you wonder if I'm obsessed or not? This was so fun, reminiscing about memories I can't really even remember, but thanks for having me, Team Vogue. Don't forget to subscribe.